All right, so we're back in the saddle here. We're just pushing across the southern part of this causeway through Keemle Lake. Again, you can just see it's beautiful. It's still kind of cloudy. You can see it's almost like it's trying to lighten up a little bit. So we actually have another interesting feature sort of coming up here, just around this corner. And it's a little kind of, I don't know if you want to call it a mystery kind of around it, but I do have some questions and I'm a little sort of perplexed. And so we'll see if we can solve that. So what I'll do is I'll zip you ahead until we get up to that point, okay? So just enjoy the scenery here as we start our turn. Let me see. So we're running at, yeah, we're pretty much heading west now because we're at 177 in terms of our bearing. Okay, so that little feature is coming up in about 500 meters. So what I'll do is I'll zip you ahead until we get there. So just enjoy these cuts and things that we're going to be going through, and maybe we'll see some grouse on the way here. Did Luna see a grouse? All right, so we're kind of close to our next point of interest, and the sign that you see up here is a little bit of an indicator of what we're going to expect. And so you can see that this is not a railway sign. This says caution ahead. Again, this is not an official trail, and so I'm not sure what the point of the sign was. All right, so here's our little point of interest up here. So there is a small little creek that crosses the grade, and you'll notice up here that there's a big washout, and right here you'll see that there's a whole pile of timbers. Maybe I'll go down there and just kind of show you a little bit more. Like, these are like big timbers that you would see from, you know, some sort of structure, right? And just kind of all heaped and piled right here. So I'm assuming that, and you can see there's some concrete mixed in there as well. So I'm assuming that this structure was whatever was across here. Now, when I was here a couple years ago, or sorry, last year, and so here you can see the sign that's fallen down and it says caution, washout. I kind of had no idea what was here. I assumed there was some sort of trestle here, and I was told that it was a box culvert. And I do have a CN profile map, and what I'll do is I will put that up on the screen so you can sort of take a look at it, and that shows you kind of what at least CN had listed here. Now, obviously, this washout took out the fiber optic line, because you'll notice there's a junction box here and there's one further on the other side. So obviously they had to repair the fiber optic line. So anyway, so when I asked around, when I was here back in the summer of 2010, I was told that it was a box culvert. Now, the reason why I'm a little confused is there's actually something on the other side that is causing my confusion. And I'm gonna see if I can get an answer and sort of put that up on the screen of the video, because like, again, it just doesn't make sense to me. But again, I'm not a railway guy. I say on several occasions that I am a historian, and so I'm not always well versed with a lot of railway things. So you can see this creek. I remember when I was here the last time, not this past summer, the summer before, and there was barely any water coming through here. But with the rains in the fall, there's a little bit more water flowing through. And so obviously you can imagine you know, the force that it would have needed to rip out whatever that was here. So I'm assuming that this culvert plugged or clogged and the water built up and just completely blew it out. You can see that it is pretty far down. There's a pretty big depth drop between the height of the grade and the creek bottom here. So up here you can see kind of the box for the fiber. So now, why am I confused about this? I'm going to show you in a second. All right, so here we can look back and you can see the whole washout area. You can see the creek. And again, this is just typical of what's going to happen more and more on this line as the infrastructure deteriorates and it's not being maintained. These washouts will continue to happen. Here you can see a big tie. This one's been repaired, but we just saw this one this past summer up by Turkey Lake, and I'll put a link to that one, where the grade has been washed out. The fiber hasn't been damaged, but the grade is basically impassable. Now, this is why I'm confused. Right here in the brush, and this is why hiking in the spring and the fall is great, because you can see stuff that you wouldn't normally see. I'll take my helmet off here so you can see this, because it's very, very grown in. What we have is we actually have, you can see the metal post here, but I have to kind of turn. It might be hard for you to see. There's a flanger sign. And so I've never seen, I'll try to show you a little bit better there. I don't know if you can see it that well. I've never seen a flanger sign for one of these box culverts. So that's why I'm a little bit sort of confused as to kind of what's going on here. But again, I'll try to get an answer and I'll try to put that up on the, screen. Okay, so we're about to resume our westward journey here. Just before we get going again, and we are kind of heading west. Yeah, basically almost kind of 180 degrees or so. We do have another milepost marker. You can hear the transports whizzing by. So here's the milepost 98 marker. I never noticed it the last time I was here, because again, would have been obscured by the growth. And so again, milepost 98 is the mileage on the Kinghorn. You can see there's a couple tie plates down here. So again, for the original lines, to calculate the mileage, we have to subtract the 49.7 miles. And so that becomes 48.3. So mileage on the original lines, 48.3. All right, so let's get going here. Again, you were very close to the highway. You can hear the transports whizzing by. Very, very close here. We can see we're kind of sandwiching the highway between the grade and the Palisades, the Pijitawabik Palisades. Here you can see they're actually been doing some work on the utility poles, the hydro poles as we call them. You see poles and insulators here. Here's one of the caution signs as if you were coming the other direction. And so again, the highway, the railway again was built through here, 1911, 1914. The highway wasn't built until the 1940s. So again, there wasn't a lot of room. And so that's why everything's kind of sandwiched in between the lake and the Palisades here. So up here, we actually have a culvert We'll just pause to take a look at this. Now, what's interesting about this one is this part of it here. So you can see the culvert, the concrete culvert that's coming out of the highway. And I have to be careful because it's all wet here. And I think there is a modern metal culvert, but this sort of box, and I don't know if you can see it, this box that they've created, this stone box here for the culvert, is really, really neat, right? It's all kind of this cut right into the, I don't know if it's stone here or if they actually placed the stone. It's kind of hard to tell. It looks like the stone's been placed, and so they made kind of this little box here, and then the water kind of goes through the culvert and sort of drains. And we'll jump the grade here, and we'll go take a look on the south side, what's going on here. You can see the bottom end of the culvert probably doesn't see a lot of water. It's just completely plugged up with all kinds of debris and stuff. All right, so let's, if we can get out of here, jump back up on the bike here and resume our journey. All right, so as we make our way west here, and you'll see Keemle Lake come up, what's kind of neat about this spot is I actually have a photograph on my website, and I'll post that link in the description. This photograph was taken by photographer John Rice, and he was very kind to let me use it on my website. And the photo was taken, I believe, on the 14th of May or something like that, 2005, and it shows the last eastbound train on the Kinghorn, and it's basically coming around this corner, right? Because it kind of makes a bit of a curve, right? So it curves this way, and then the grade curves back that way. And so I do have an image of that, and here again you can see Keemle Lake. And so make sure you click on the link in the description. Again, you can kind of see this curve, and you see that very distinctively in the photograph, right? So basically you see the locomotives kind of making this curve to this way, right? So they're kind of curving back to, I guess, the west. And then the grade's kind of curving back. I don't know how to describe this, right? So basically it's almost like an S curve. I'm just trying to figure out my directions here, right? Because kind of that's the north, and then that curves back to the south, I guess. Anyway, let's keep motoring along here. Again, just a beautiful day, particularly for the 30th of October. It's a little cool. I can see my breath, but not bad nonetheless. So we actually have a little point of interest here that we're going to stop at that I just happened to notice. And again, the joys of hiking in the fall time. Unfortunately, I can't always get out here in the fall or the spring. You know, for example, last night I was at my older son's football game, and it was just an absolutely beautiful evening. You know, it was probably about 11 degrees Celsius, just gorgeous. So what we have here is we actually have a pile of coal, and I'm not sure why this ended up here, but basically you can see the slabs of coal here. You can see it all in here. Again, just kind of neat to see. The last coal-fired locomotives were pulled off this line probably in the late 50s. You know, by the 1960s, you're seeing all sort of diesel units on the line. So, you know, I'm guessing, again, you can't be positive, but I mean, this pile of coal has probably been here since who knows when, right? It's been probably a while it's been sitting there, right? At least probably since the late 50s. So kind of has a little bit of a story to it. Okay, so we'll pause here for a second, and then we're just going to resume our westward journey.